The Forgotten Frontier. Commander Maya Chen stood at the viewport of Demeter Nine's administrative tower, watching the triple sunset paint the sky in layers of crimson, violet, and gold. The beauty of the moment stood in stark contrast to the knot of dread in her stomach. 6 years of building this colony at the edge of known space, and now everything balanced on a knife's edge. Commander, the atmospheric sensors are picking up multiple objects entering orbit. Lieutenant Park's voice broke through her thoughts. They're big, really big. Chen turned from the viewport, her face set in the calm expression that had earned her the nickname Steel Chen among the colonists. Show me. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing 7 massive objects descending through Demeter Nine's upper atmosphere. Each one was at least 3 kilometers long, their hulls gleaming with an iridescent surface that seemed to absorb and reflect light simultaneously. Are they responding to our hails? Chen asked, though she already knew the answer. Negative, Commander. We've tried all standard frequencies and protocols. Nothing. Chen nodded slowly. Alert all sectors. Initiate defensive protocol Theta 3. The lieutenant hesitated. Commander, Theta 3 is for imminent hostile contact. Look at those ships, Park. They're not here for a cultural exchange. The colony of Demeter 9 had been established as humanity's furthest outpost, 87 light-years from Earth. With just under 12,000 colonists, it was a fragile foothold in this sector of space, chosen for its abundant natural resources and habitable environment. The United Earth government had invested heavily in the colony, but its remote location meant help was weeks away at best. As the alarm klaxons began to sound throughout the settlement, Chen assembled her senior staff in the command center. The holographic display now showed the alien vessels taking up positions around the colony's perimeter. They're deploying smaller craft, reported Security Chief Alvarez, her hand resting instinctively on her sidearm. Hundreds of them. Before anyone could respond, every screen in the command center flickered and went dark, only to reactivate a moment later with the image of a being unlike any Chen had ever seen. Its body appeared to be composed of overlapping plates of some chitinous material, with multiple limbs folded precisely across its torso. 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern, stared unblinkingly from a triangular head. Inhabitants of this world, the being spoke, its voice a harmonious blend of tones that somehow translated perfectly into human understanding. I am Supreme Commander Zavrik of the Varthic Dominion. Your unauthorized settlement on this planet ends today. Chen stepped forward. This is Commander Maya Chen of the United Earth Colony Demeter 9. We claim this world under the Charter of New Frontiers. We have no quarrel with your people and are open to diplomatic. There will be no diplomacy, Zavrik interrupted. The Varthic Dominion has claimed this sector and all its resources. Your presence is irrelevant. You have 6 of your hours to evacuate essential personnel. After that, we begin resource extraction. Resource extraction. Chen's composure faltered for the first time. This is a living colony with 12,000 people. The Varthic commander's head tilted slightly. Your species is new to the galactic stage. You do not yet understand your place. 6 hours. No more. The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the command center in stunned silence. They can't be serious, Park whispered. Oh, they're serious, Alvarez replied grimly. I studied xenobiology. If these are the Varthic I've read about, they're known for their efficiency. They don't view other species as equals, just obstacles or resources. Chen moved to the central console. How quickly can we evacuate? The colony's chief engineer, Dr. Reiko Tanaka, shook her head. Even if we loaded every transport to dangerous capacity, we could only evacuate maybe 3,000 people. And we have nowhere to go. We're weeks from the nearest human outpost. What about our defenses? Chen asked. Alvarez pulled up the tactical display. We have the automated defense grid and 3 patrol vessels. Against those ships. She didn't need to finish the sentence. Chen stood silent for a long moment, the weight of 12,000 lives pressing down on her shoulders. "Send the distress signal," she finally said. "Full spectrum, maximum power. Include all the data we have on the Varthic ships." "Commander," Park said softly, "even at light speed, the signal will take 87 years to reach Earth." "Not to Earth," Chen corrected. "To the Galactic Council outpost at Proxima Centauri. They're bound by their own charter to protect developing species from extinction events." The colony's chief engineer, Dr. Reiko Tanaka, shook her head. "Even if we loaded every transport to dangerous capacity, we could only evacuate maybe 3,000 people, and we have nowhere to go. We're weeks from the nearest human outpost." "What about our defenses?" Chen asked. Alvarez pulled up the tactical display. "We have the automated defense grid and 3 patrol vessels. Against those ships." She didn't need to finish the sentence. Chen stood silent for a long moment, the weight of 12,000 lives pressing down on her shoulders. "Send the distress signal," she finally said. "Full spectrum, maximum power. Include all the data we have on the Varthic ships." "Commander," Park said softly, "even at light speed, the signal will take 87 years to reach Earth." "Not to Earth," Chen corrected. "To the Galactic Council outpost at Proxima Centauri. They're bound by their own charter to protect developing species from extinction events." As the communications team prepared the distress signal, Chen returned to the viewport. The alien ships were now visible to the naked eye. Dark silhouettes blocking out the stars, their presence an unmistakable threat. "Signal away," Park reported several minutes later. "Maximum broadcast strength. The Proxima outpost should receive it within hours." Chen nodded. "Now we prepare for the worst. Begin evacuation of children and essential scientific personnel. Security teams to defensive positions, and someone find me everything we have on the Varthic." The 6-hour deadline passed with agonizing slowness. When it expired, the Varthic made good on their threat. The first energy beam struck the colony's southern agricultural dome, vaporizing it instantly. Thousands of hectares of cropland, and the colonists tending them, were gone in a blinding flash. "They're targeting our food production capacity first," Chen realized. "They want to starve us out." The colony's defensive grid responded automatically, launching a barrage of missiles at the nearest Varthic vessel. They detonated harmlessly against some kind of energy shield. "Our weapons aren't even scratching them," Alvarez reported, her voice tight with frustration. More beams lanced down from the Varthic ships, methodically destroying the colony's infrastructure. The medical center, the water reclamation facility, the spaceport. In the Galactic Council's emergency chamber on Proxima Centauri, representatives from 17 species debated the human distress call. The chamber was arranged in tiers, with the most senior and powerful species seated at the lowest level. "The signal is authentic," confirmed Senior Arbiter Kolvac, his translucent tentacles waving in agitation. "The Varthic have indeed violated the non-interference protocols by attacking a developing species colony. The humans are not technically a developing species anymore," countered Representative Thorin of the Merithian Collective. "They achieved faster-than-light travel independently 3 decades ago. But they are still new to the galactic community," argued Representative Ilara, one of only 2 humans with observer status on the council. "They have not yet been granted full membership, which means they fall under protection protocols." The council's supreme arbiter, a member of the ancient Xorlath species, raised a gnarled hand for silence. "The question before us is not one of classification, but of response. The nearest council peacekeeping fleet is currently engaged in the Veloci sector. It would take at minimum 2 weeks to reach this human colony." A murmur of resignation passed through the chamber. Everyone present knew what that meant. By the time help arrived, the colony would be gone. "Perhaps," suggested a representative from the commerce-focused Bentheri, "we should open diplomatic channels with the Varthic, offer compensation for their withdrawal." "The Varthic do not negotiate," Kolvac stated flatly. "Once they begin resource extraction, they do not stop. Then we must at least document this atrocity, Ilara insisted, her voice rising, and prepare sanctions against the Varthic. The Supreme Arbiter's ancient eyes fixed on her. Representative Ilara, your passion is noted, but the Council cannot commit resources to a battle already lost. We will dispatch observers and prepare a formal censure of the Varthic actions. Ilara's face flushed with anger. A censure. 12,000 humans are about to die. We understand your distress, the Arbiter replied gently. But the Council must consider the greater balance. A direct confrontation with the Varthic could spark a wider conflict. Ilara stormed from the chamber, her fellow human representative following close behind. In a private communication booth, she established a quantum link with Earth's Defense Command. They won't help, she reported to the grim-faced general on the screen. The Council has written off Demeter 9 as already lost. We expected as much, General Williams replied. Fortunately, we planned for this eventuality. The 7th Fleet has been on standby since the colony was established. They're already en route. Ilara's eyes widened. The 7th. But that's classified, yes. As is this conversation. Earth Defense extends its gratitude for your service, Representative. Back on Demeter 9, Commander Chen and what remained of her staff had relocated to an underground bunker as the systematic destruction of their colony continued above. Their defensive capabilities were exhausted, their communication with the surface severed. The backup generators provided minimal power and dwindling hope. Last transmission from the Council outpost confirmed receipt of our distress signal, Park reported, his face illuminated by the emergency lighting. But they made no commitments. Chen nodded grimly. She had expected as much. The Galactic Council was known for its bureaucracy and reluctance to engage in direct conflict. How many did we get out? Just under 2,000. Alvarez answered. The evacuation ships made it to the emergency shelters in the northern mountains, but with the agricultural domes destroyed, the implications hung in the air. Even those who survived the initial attack would eventually starve. A violent tremor shook the bunker, sending dust cascading from the ceiling. They're directly over us now, Tanaka observed, beginning deep excavation, I guess. These bunkers weren't designed to withstand their level of technology. Chen looked at the faces of her staff, friends who had followed her across 87 light years to build something new. It's been an honor, she began. The communication console suddenly crackled to life. Repeat, this is Admiral Harrison of the UES Dauntless to Demeter 9 Command. Do you copy? Chen lunged for the console. This is Commander Chen. We copy, Dauntless. But how? No time to explain, Commander. We need your people to take cover immediately. Things are about to get very hot up there. Before Chen could respond, another voice cut in. The unmistakable multi-tone speech of Supreme Commander Zavrik. Unidentified vessels, you have entered Varthic operational space. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. Admiral Harrison's reply was calm, almost conversational. I'm afraid we can't do that, Commander Zavrik. You see, you're currently attempting to wipe out a human colony. And if there's one thing you should know about humans, we protect our own. In orbit above Demeter 9, 12 sleek black vessels emerged from what appeared to be tears in the fabric of space itself. They were smaller than the massive Varthic ships, but moved with impossible speed and precision, forming a protective barrier between the alien invaders and the planet below. What is this? Zavrik demanded. Your species does not possess this technology. There's a lot about us you don't know, Harrison replied. Here's your one chance. Leave now, and we'll call it a misunderstanding. Stay, and you'll discover exactly what humans are capable of when threatened. The Varthic response came in the form of concentrated energy beams fired simultaneously from 3 of their largest vessels, all targeting Harrison's flagship. In the bunker, Chen and her staff watched through the hacked feed from the few remaining orbital satellites as the beams struck, and somehow bent around the human vessel, dissipating harmlessly into space. That's impossible, Tanaka whispered. That kind of defensive technology is centuries beyond what Earth is supposed to have. Chen said nothing, her eyes fixed on the screen as the battle for Demeter 9's survival began in earnest above their heads. Humanity unleashed. Admiral Eliza Harrison stood calmly on the command deck of the UES Dauntless, watching as the Varthic energy beams distorted around her ship's defensive field. The bridge crew maintained disciplined silence, each focused on their stations with practiced efficiency. Deflection successful, reported Lieutenant Commander Nazari from Tactical. Shield integrity at 98%. Harrison nodded, unsurprised. As expected, deploy countermeasures and prepare for synchronized alpha strike. On the main view screen, the 7 massive Varthic vessels were repositioning, clearly surprised by the ineffectiveness of their opening salvo. From the 12 human ships, collectively known as the 7th Fleet, but individually named after famous Earth explorers and scientists, small objects detached and accelerated toward the alien vessels. Quantum disruptors deployed, Nazari confirmed, targeting their propulsion and weapons systems. The objects, each no larger than a shuttlecraft, moved with impossible agility, evading the Varthic point defense fire before attaching themselves to specific locations on the alien ships. Moments later, 3 of the 7 Varthic vessels suddenly went dark, their engines and weapons systems rendered inoperable. What manner of weapons are these? Supreme Commander Zavrek demanded over the still-open channel. For the first time, a note of uncertainty had entered the harmonic tones of his voice. Nothing you've seen before, Harrison replied calmly. Nothing we've shown to the galaxy before. We kept our best cards close to our chest, Commander. Humanity learned long ago not to reveal all our capabilities at once. In the underground bunker on Demeter 9, Commander Chen and her staff watched the battle unfold with mounting disbelief. The human ships moved in ways that defied conventional physics, seeming to phase in and out of normal space as they evaded Varthic counterattacks. I don't understand, Park said, voicing what they were all thinking. Earth's official technology level is nowhere near this advanced. The ships registered with the Galactic Council are primitive compared to these. A deception, Chen realized aloud. Earth has been hiding its true capabilities. Dr. Tanaka nodded slowly. It makes strategic sense. As newcomers to the galactic stage, humans would be vulnerable if their true technological level was known. Better to appear weak until strength is needed. Above them, the battle continued. The remaining 4 Varthic ships launched swarms of fighter craft, thousands of them filling the space around the human fleet. The human response was equally unexpected. Instead of conventional countermeasures, the Earth ships released what appeared to be clouds of metallic dust. When the Varthic fighters encountered these clouds, they simply ceased functioning, drifting lifelessly through space. Nanite defense successful, Nazari reported on the Dauntless. Varthic fighter capability reduced by 89%. Harrison turned to her communications officer. Open a direct channel to Supreme Commander Zavrek. Visual this time. The main screen shifted to show the Varthic commander. His chitinous plates had shifted color slightly, which Harrison's xenobiology briefing had indicated was a sign of extreme stress in his species. Commander Zavrek, Harrison said, meeting all 4 of his eyes with her steady gaze. I believe a reassessment of the situation is in order. Your forces are effectively neutralized, and we have not yet deployed our main offensive capabilities. This is impossible, Zavrek replied. Our intelligence indicated humans were centuries behind this level of technology. You have only achieved faster-than-light travel within the last 3 decades. Harrison allowed herself a small smile. We achieved publicly acknowledged faster-than-light travel 3 decades ago, but humanity has a long history of keeping secrets, especially when it comes to our survival. What you're witnessing is the result of 2 centuries of classified development. She gestured, and the view screen split to show sensor readings of a new group of objects emerging from the tiers in space, massive cylindrical structures that began to unfold into unmistakable weapons platforms. These are what we call Prometheus arrays, Harrison explained conversationally. They generate targeted gravitational singularities, quite effective against ships of your size. We've never had to use them in actual combat before. Zavrik's upper limbs moved in what might have been agitation. The Varthic Dominion does not retreat. Then the Varthic Dominion will cease to exist, Harrison replied, her voice hardening. We've disabled your ships rather than destroying them because we prefer to avoid unnecessary casualties. That preference has limits. For several tense moments, there was silence. Then, almost imperceptibly, Zavrik's head dipped in what Harrison recognized as the Varthic equivalent of a nod. We will withdraw, he stated. But know this, human. The Dominion will not forget this humiliation. Not a humiliation, Commander, Harrison corrected. A revelation. I suggest you share what you've learned today with your leadership. Humans prefer peace, but we prepare for war. Always. As the disabled Varthic ships were towed away by their still-functioning counterparts, Admiral Harrison established communication with the colony below. Commander Chen's face appeared on the screen, a mixture of relief and confusion evident in her expression. Admiral, Chen began, I don't know how to thank you, but I have 1,000 questions. I imagine you do, Harrison replied with a warm smile. And I promise answers. But first let's get your people safe and your critical infrastructure rebuilt. I have engineering teams standing by. Within hours, shuttles from the 7th Fleet had landed at the colony, bringing medical personnel, engineers, and supplies. Admiral Harrison herself transported down to meet with Commander Chen and her senior staff in what remained of the administrative building. The truth, Harrison explained as they gathered around a holographic display of Earth's actual defensive capabilities, is that humanity has been preparing for first contact since before we officially achieved space travel. The development of the quantum displacement drive was complete nearly a century ago, but kept classified. But why the deception? Chen asked. Why present outdated technology to the Galactic Council? History and caution, Harrison replied. Throughout human history, whenever a technologically advanced civilization encountered a less advanced one, the results were rarely good for the latter. We had no intention of being the less advanced civilization in our first galactic interactions. So Earth has been playing possum, Alvarez said with newfound respect, appearing vulnerable while building up secret defenses. Harrison nodded. The 7th Fleet is just one of several. Each colony has a rapid response force assigned to it, hidden in quantum pocket dimensions until needed. Demeter 9 is the first time we've had to reveal this capability. And now? Park asked. The secret's out. Now everything changes, Harrison acknowledged. The Galactic Council will have questions. The Varthic will report what they've seen. Other species will reassess their understanding of humanity. At that moment, a communication alert sounded. The holographic display shifted to show Representative Ilara and several members of the Galactic Council, including the Supreme Arbiter himself. Admiral Harrison. The ancient Thorlath began without preamble. The Council has received most disturbing reports from the Varthic. They claim human technology far exceeds what has been disclosed to the Council. They are correct, Harrison replied simply. A ripple of conversation passed through the Council members before the Arbiter raised his hand for silence. Such deception violates the transparency protocols of the Council. With respect, Arbiter, Harrison countered. Humanity is not yet a full member of the Council, and thus not bound by those protocols. Furthermore, the Council's own inaction in the face of the attack on Demeter 9 validates our caution. The Arbiter's ancient eyes narrowed. Explain. When our colony sent a distress signal, the Council debated and ultimately decided not to intervene. Had we relied on the Council's protection, 12,000 humans would now be dead. Instead, we relied on ourselves. Silence fell over the communication. Finally, Representative Ilara spoke. Admiral Harrison is right. The Council's response was inadequate. The galaxy now faces a new reality. The Arbiter said slowly, "Humanity is not the simple, developing species we believed." "We never claimed to be," Harrison replied. "We simply didn't correct your assumptions. Humanity has learned through bitter experience to hope for the best while preparing for the worst. Today proved the wisdom of that approach." In the days that followed, the news spread rapidly throughout the galaxy. Footage of the human ships effortlessly neutralizing the Varthic, a species feared by many in the galactic community, became the most viewed data stream in Council history. Diplomatic envoys from dozens of species arrived at Earth, seeking alliances, trade agreements, or simply reassurance. Previously kept secret, Commander Chen stood once again at the viewport of the rebuilt administrative tower, watching the triple sunset with Admiral Harrison at her side. "Do you think they'll attack again?" Chen asked. Harrison shook her head. "Not the Varthic, no. They're pragmatists at heart. But others might, now that they know what we're capable of." Fear and envy are universal emotions. "So what happens now?" Harrison smiled. "Now humanity steps onto the galactic stage as we truly are, not as supplicants or developing newcomers, but as equals. The deception was never meant to be permanent, just long enough to ensure our security." Chen looked out at the colony below, already beginning to thrive again. "You know, we sent that distress signal believing help would come too late. That we were already dead." "That's the thing about humans," Harrison replied, watching the last rays of the triple suns paint the horizon. "We plan for the worst, but we never, ever give up hope. And sometimes, that hope is rewarded with fire from the heavens." In the Galactic Council's permanent records, the Battle of Demeter 9 would come to mark a turning point in interstellar relations. A simple entry would read, "On this day, humanity revealed its true nature to the galaxy." And the galaxy trembled.